Okay, let's get started with some drawing. So I'm going to get in nice and close. I'm going to use a brush on my line layer, leave everything else just the way that it is. If you want to lock these layers to ensure that you don't accidentally paint on them, that's a good idea. What brush do I want to use? I'm just going to go up here to a standard brush. Don't need anything too special. Go to the round brush with some shape dynamics. I'm going to turn on some pressure variation, and then I'm going to add transfer, which is going to link my pen pressure to the opacity. So pen pressure is now linked to my diameter, and I'll have pen pressure linked to the opacity of my brush. Okay, I'm going to paint with something that's sort of a middle gray. As long as I'm able to see it over my piece of tracing paper. Right, I'm going to go small. And all I need right now, go a little bit up here, is enough information to allow me to contain what are going to become my freehand brush strokes. This exercise of tracing is useful in that it will help you to familiarize yourself with the subject. I find that if I either trace or sketch from observation, I start to learn about the overall object. I can decide on what I want to keep, what I might want to edit out. I can also be thinking about what kinds of brush strokes I'm going to need to make, what sizes of my brushes. And if I'm thinking of in terms of going from large to small, then I can see, well, I'm going to have some large areas with similar values or similar color ultimately, and then I'll have some other areas that are very small shapes that are going to require more detail, and more time, more concentration, and maybe more zooming in. Now, if there's any information when I do the tracing that I'm unsure about, I can refer back to the reference image and zoom in and say, okay, yes, the wheel is indeed in front of this tailpipe piece, but it's the values are very similar. So that's something that I might end up editing so that the wheel doesn't look like there's a big chunk taken out of it, so it looks complete. Can't really get that information out of the original image. So that's why having that other piece available is helpful. And of course, I could also show and hide that cover layer. I used to call that the screen. I kind of think of a vertical screen that you would use for changing behind. But you can call it whatever you want. Little things that I might not be able to see with that turned on. Curves are hard to draw freehand, so this as a preliminary sketch or drawing does not have to be perfect at all. And my goal right now is, or ultimately my goal is to have a painting that feels like it was painted freehand. If I decide later that I want more, that's interesting, it's like all filled in. If I want this to be more precise, well, think back to our sphere, cone, cylinder, and box exercise. You now have tools or techniques for isolating areas that maybe have sharp, crisp edges. You have techniques for painting roundness, smooth, gradual transitions. So you can decide on how rough or how precise you want your drawing to be ultimately. Okay. All right, or if I decide I want to modify this somehow, maybe I want to add a fin back here. I was really into toy cars as a kid, and sometimes I forget that all those cars were designed by grown-ups, and Imagine a job where you just get to draw the craziest, most imaginative cars you could possibly imagine all day long at a company like Mattel. And the names for the cars and the colors they use, just an endless, and think of how many they've done through the years. Might be fun to have a little porthole down there. Okay, so now my car is looking a little bit more like a strange sea creature. That's okay. All right, so now I'm going to take this here and show you another feature that I've included here. So I have my covering layer. And then I also have this additional hue saturation layer. What I did with that layer was I used it to give me a preview of what the artwork would look like if it was never colored. Okay, so it's been desaturated. Here's a look at its properties panel. Saturation has been taken all the way down. Any one of these levels can give me ideas about how I might color it, but seeing value can be difficult if you're dealing with maybe bright colors or colors that are similar to one another. So this is one way of just taking out the color, using an adjustment layer, and then I can kind of compare and contrast. So if I leave this underneath, it can help and guide me in terms of choosing the colors underneath for the next stage, which is the blocking in of the values, in which we're going to be working on the next layer. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.